I think my biggest question is more just about like the vibe of the game overall. For those of you that don't know, my best friend is an A&M grad. He's an Aggie, best man in my wedding, and we've had long conversations about this game.
Yep.
And I want to get your opinion on something he and I were talking about as the no lose situation in this for Texas A&M. Right, if they come out and win this game, they're playing for an SEC championship. Right, 12-0, you beat Texas, playing for an SEC championship. He's of the mindset that like, not even just as it a no-win situation for him, but even looking back at last year's SEC championship, Georgia lost the starting quarterback. Texas gets beat up, and they have to play an extra home game because of it. Like, there's a situation in which like winning this game hurts the long-term like CFP aspirations for A&M. I just want to hear your thoughts on it. Like, where do you feel land on like the no-lose situation for A&M in this ball game?
So I don't really trust the CFB selection committee right now. Obviously, they had a change of the guard with what happened there, and I get the same answer every Tuesday night, which is this whole discussion of, is Texas A&M better than Indiana? Ohio State never even gets brought up because they played a really bad schedule, to be honest with you, but they're defending champs, so they always get the pass, and they have so much talent. Every time I see a clip, though, I see, Julian Sand has like 10 minutes in the pocket and he has all this time to throw. And it's kind of funny how they get the pass. But A&M needs to win this game, because if they do not win this game, and let's say they lose by 10 points, they just don't show up. Arch Manning has a big day, and, A&M kind of looks at it as, well, you know what? We're 11-1. We should get a top 4 seed still because we accomplished all of our goals outside of winning this game this season. But the committee really shouldn't, take us down for that, right? Well, let's be honest here. I honestly think right now, if A&M ends up losing this game, they're going to be a 5 through 8 seed. They're going to give them a home game in Kyle Field, but they're going to say, you know what? You didn't do enough, because we've listened to social media and the rest of everybody else of, your schedule wasn't that great. You played all the bottom teams in the SEC and yada, yada, yada. Even though, to be honest, Texas kind of did the same thing last year, did end up going undefeated, losing in the SEC championship game. Didn't get dinged much for that. But I do believe that, there was this notion, that when A&M was losing to South Carolina before that epic comeback, a lot of people, including to the guys in the booth, basically said, yeah, you know what, Mike Elko may just not want to play in the SEC championship game because he doesn't want to deal with attrition. And I'm like, okay, well, that's bull crap. But at the same time, I entered the week talking to my writing team and everybody else going, this game is going to be viewed as the standard rivalry. It's the same with Auburn, Alabama. Like, if one team's really bad and the other team's really good and they have CFP hopes, it's still going to be a grinded out match, because, you throw everything out the window when it's rivalry week, right? Because you look at this game, and if you're looking at Texas, for example, they have to win this game to have any shot at CFP. A lot of people said they have zero chance, but I think they need a ton of teams to fall this week to even have a shot. They also want it, but to be honest, I guarantee if you ask Sark, and I listened to some of what he said today, deep down, he's not going to say it out loud because they still have this game to play, but he wants to end 9-3. He knows that they had issues this year, and when they tumbled against Georgia the way they did, look, they're just not exactly the team you thought they were going to be. But if you end 9-3, you go to a decent bowl game, and you load up in the portal, and you go into next year, Arch Manning is coming back, you got all your weapons. That's what A&M was looking at last year, right? It's kind of switching everything this year for A&M and Texas. But to answer your question, I don't trust the CFP committee at all to give A&M a pass if they lose this game. And I really do think that they need to go to the SEC championship game and win, whether that's against Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, to have a shot at where they are right now, a top 3 to 4 seed.
My question for you is based on Marcel Reed. I think I had him ranked as the 6th or 7th best quarterback in the SEC entering the year. I was impressed by the measurables and everything I saw on the field, but he still had some things that, Texas picked up on last year. I think it was the left side of the field they didn't really like throwing to, so they basically forced him to try to throw to the left side of the field. It was either the right or left side, I can't remember, but they saw on film and said, we're making you throw this way, basically. What are some things in his game this year that you've seen him take from last year to this year and take it up to another level, I guess?
Well, it's his trust. It's trusting his feet. It's trusting his new receiving core. I mean, he came into the offseason knowing that Mike Elko was going to go into the portal, go get him more speed at wide receiver. Their wide receiver rotation last season was atrocious. Noah Thomas, who's, kind of balled out a little bit against Texas. He had his moment in the sun, and good for him. He was their best receiver on that roster last year, which really tells you a lot. They just didn't have the talent there. It wasn't helping Marcel Reed out. He got a lot of flack for things that he couldn't control. This was his first season really taking on all the responsibilities that a quarterback in the SEC and a quarterback from Texas A&M in a system that Colin Klein, it's not complicated, but it has to run smoothly, and it takes about a full year to get into the rhythm of what he wants and what he expects. So to answer your question, though, he's improved a lot in the middle of the field. His deep ball is still a work in progress, but against South Carolina, he hit Ashton Bethel-Roma, one of the rising wide receivers, redshirt freshman, for 39-yard touchdown. I mean, it's a perfect pass. I think he's become a rhythm quarterback to where when he's confident as hell, when he knows that everything's on his shoulders to get this done, he trusts that speed, ranging from Casey Concepcion, who's a potential first-round pick going into next year's draft. Mario Craver has been a sensation, leads them with over 780 something receiving yards this year. He's a little banged up, didn't play a lot against Samford. He's gonna be ready for A&M, so there's a little tease for you guys. But just the speed. I mean, he's been able to basically take this offense to the next level. Not only, and he hasn't run that much. That's the thing, right? We all thought going into the season this was going to be a pure dual threat type of system where Marcel was going to be taken off every other play. But he's just trusting his arm. He's trusting his eyes. He's trusting the play calling, and he's trusting that Casey Concepcion, who's an undersized wide receiver, is going to jump high for those passes that are a little overthrown. A couple he dropped against South Carolina, but he's been really good at that too. I mean, I think the word is just trust. I mean, these guys, when a guy like Marcel Reed, who has, I would say he has arm talent, but at the same time, he has a lot still to work on in mechanics. But when you have that type of talent at wide receiver, and his tight ends have stepped up too, Nate Berkacher has been a sensation as well as a blocker. He's also stepped up as a receiver. They've just got every type of weapon you can think of that a type of like Marcel Reed would need to take that next step. And I personally had written about it all summer saying, look, Arch Manning, to be honest with you, is a better thrower in some ways. I mean, he threw a pass. There was a pass against Arkansas, which was an NFL type of throw. And Marcel doesn't have that completely. He can get there. Right now, he's not. So he's not, I don't even call him the best player on this team. I call him, he's one of the top 5. But everything else is going A&M's way. And the offense is running smoothly right now. They need Marcel because he's the most trusted quarterback. We saw that with Miles O'Neill, who is their backup right now, played very poorly against Samford. So they cannot lose Marcel this year. They can't even have him, out of any snap offensively for them to reach their dreams this season and reach their goals this season. So, but I will answer that again against Texas. Michael Taff, obviously Texas' star safety, did intercept him on a ball that, again, those type of throws Marcel's not making anymore. He's not even attempting them anymore because they can attack the middle of the field all day, especially obviously Texas has an injury at linebacker right now. I expect them to do that on Friday. They're going to utilize Craver and Concepcion's speed over the middle, dink and dunk their way down the field and hope their run game opens things up. But yeah, he's just more comfortable. I think that's really the best way I can say it. I've been asked that a lot this season by a lot of people who probably doubted him, did not think he was going to have that great of a year, probably an average year. Obviously, he's having close to a Heisman year. He could be a finalist, but he's still a work in progress, though. I will say that. There's a lot that he can work on. The first half Marcel we saw against South Carolina, that does creep up sometimes. Like the mistakes, the overthrows, not working through his progressions and not taking that easy especially in hot reads when the blitz is coming, he just kind of overthinks it. But when the rhythm is on, when everything's working, he's one of the best quarterbacks in college football.
Yeah. And you mentioned, he doesn't hit that deep ball as much, and you don't need that when your wide receivers are just running past every defender on the field. Those guys are faster than geometry. But let's talk. I want to talk about the running back situation because a lot of the talk is Marcel Reed and Craver and Concepcion, but A&M probably has what I would put up against most running back rooms in the country. Ruben Owens, Le'Veon Moss are two of probably the premier runners in the country. Texas fans are still licking their wounds after the Ruben Owens flip a couple of years ago. So like what, in an offense that seems to be helmed by the pass, this is still a Colin Klein offense. So it's a lot, there's a heavy run feature.
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like to get all those guys going in a game? And how do teams even attempt to shut that down?
Well, you have to commit to it. You have to have as many defenders in the box as possible. The thing is, though, Le'Veon Moss being out the last 5 games has still hindered this run game, which is crazy because they're averaging over 200 yards per game. Ruben Owens did not play against Stanford. He was a little beat up. They didn't want to waste any snaps against a FCS opponent. He will be ready to go for this game. He's taken that next step. We were all I was talking to Carter Carrolls at 24/7 Sports earlier this year, and we were really debating, this is a big year for Ruben Owens, even though Le'Veon Moss was coming back and going to be taking all those first team snaps pretty much because, going into 2026, Moss will be off to the NFL. Owens is that guy. And we were all wondering, is he going to be that guy? Is he really going to take that step and show off that elite speed we've been seeing? And especially when I was covering him in high school, he's done it. And he really he went full bore against Missouri. I mean, had 2 touchdowns, had his longest touchdown run, I think, career run, I think like 50-something yards. He is a track speed guy and somebody who is starting to become a full running back in terms of vision, in terms of that upfield agility. He's breaking tackles. He's not just falling down when first contact comes. He's going to be a focal point in this game. Le'Veon Moss is probably not going to play in this game. Mike Elko did say today, now he could be just saying that. He said, we'll see. But I think their goal for Moss is to be 100% healthy, not 85% healthy in a game where they think they can get by with just Owens. Jamarion Morrow, their freshman back, who's played really well this season. Amari Daniels, who is probably going to get more snaps in this game after rushing for a career high 109 yards against Stanford. I think they're kind of saving him as well. That was kind of a topic of why isn't Daniels playing, when we have all this talent and, he's a junior. He's, been in the system for a while. He's a trustworthy back outside of that one play against Texas last year, which was a stupid play call. But sadly, he gets remembered for that. And I kind of feel bad for the kid because that was just a dumb play call. But yeah, I couldn't be prouder of someone who covers him. I mean, Owens has been working his butt off. He dealt with injury all last year. He tried to come back in those last couple of games, even against Texas, which was a little questionable because he just wasn't ready. But if this O-line, which has been elite this year, continues to block the way they've been, Texas's defensive front is formidable. I do think that it's going to be a grinded out type of game, but I think if Owens can find just one hole and burst through, pick up 30-40 yards and get this offense rolling, then A&M should have a pretty good day offensively. But yeah, he's been one of the better players on this team, which is kind of crazy because we just didn't know how these snaps were going to be allocated. Obviously, after Moss went down against Florida, we knew he had to step up. He's been great ever since.
What are some weaknesses in your guys' defense that you think your fan base is worried about versus the Texas offense, or maybe there aren't any? I don't know. I'll let you answer that.
No, I mean, there's always weaknesses. The secondary has held up well. Des Ricks, who struggled immensely last season, especially in their bowl game against USC. He was a guy who we were all kind of waiting to take that next step. He's a 5-star prospect. Obviously, with Alabama, he was a Nick Saban type of recruit. We all kind of thought, well, if he's a Nick Saban recruit, Nick Saban obviously was a secondary master and turning those guys into NFL corners. He's been great this season. He's one of the best corners, I think, really statistically in the country. Who he's going to be matching up with, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. Texas has a lot of great receivers and a lot of speed there. But there are weaknesses in terms of if the pass rush, which is not a weakness. And, to be honest, this game could be turned based on how Texas' O-line holds up because A&M leads the country in sacks. I think they have 39 or 40 on the year. And I think they only had one against Stanford. So I think it's about 39 of the year. Cassius Howe has made himself a lot of money this season, even though he has 30-inch arms, which is not going to hold him back in the draft next season. But he's just been one of the more powerful pass rushers, and I really don't think anybody can really block him. I think only Notre Dame was the only one that really kept him at, away from the backfield, but he still had like 5 pressures in that game, so he may have not gotten home. But I mean, honestly, I don't know how Texas is going to handle him. They may have to double team him if he gets going early. I think I'm guessing Sark's going to watch that LSU tape, which really does show that. I think it was like the first snap against a freshman tackle. Hal just destroyed him. It was actually very ugly for Nussmeier. He was just kind of laying on the ground, just, okay, this is going to be all day type of thing. And but I would say that Will Lee is somebody I think Arch Manning is going to target. He's their senior corner. He's had a up and down year, and that's just kind of how these things go. When one corner's playing so well, the other corner gets targeted all the time. He's going to end up giving up big yards. But so I will say that if they're trying to, hit some big plays, that's probably where they're going to go, wherever he's lined up. The safety play has been very good, though. I will say that Dalton Brooks has been fantastic this year. He's really come on at the end of the season, especially during the latter half of SC play. Has had some great moments as well. He had a fake punt that he ran for like 40 yards against Missouri. Had an interception against South Carolina. He's been great in coverage. He's been great as a run defender. Marcus Radcliffe is one of the highest rated safeties this season. He's just been a consistent force against the run and pretty good in coverage. So yeah, I mean, if you're going to beat A&M defensively, you have to catch them off guard, and you have to hope that the D line just doesn't eat you alive. And if they don't, and Arch kind of like Marcel has looked like a rhythm guy. I watched that entire game against Arkansas. That was obviously a career game for him. I think it 6 touchdowns total, including a receiving touchdown. So he's playing as well as you could ask right now. But if he gets pressured, I think this is going to be either a low scoring game if Texas's defense steps up. But yeah, I mean, if we're talking about a weakness right now, I guess it's you just have to get protection. And if the secondary gets a little off balance, then you could have a back and forth game where, and I mean, honestly, the best example of that is against Arkansas, where Taylor Green got out of the pocket a lot. He was making plays with his legs. Arch can do that. He's not as, mobile and athletic as Taylor Green. But what happened in that game, and I think a lot of people were asking that, was A&M's defense just did not show up for that game. No one did. I think at the end they had a couple sacks, but they were still giving up big plays in the passing game. Arkansas has a lot of very big athletic receivers. Texas does have those type of guys. So really, I think the hope is they just have a bad game. I mean, that's the best I can say, because overall their defense has been very consistent, and I can't really point out definite weak spots that you can target. But I mean, we saw last year, it was a weird game. A&M's defense did play well. Quinn Ewers hit a couple big passes. He threw that pick six, but outside of that pick six, I think Texas really should have won that game like 34-0 or something at that point. I don't think it's going to be that type of game, because A&M has one of the better offenses in the country.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I really just think you got to hope that they're just not ready, and that Arch can really show up, get the ball out quickly, and that his receivers can help him out and get some explosive plays through the air.
I love it. I know we only got you for a couple more minutes, so I want to ask this question. So I just fill in the blank. Like, A&M wins this game if Texas wins this game. If, like, give us your breakdown.
So I'll say that Texas A&M wins this game if they get out to an early lead. And I mean, if you get first possession, score a touchdown, get a turnover, or force a punt immediately, get out to a 10, maybe 10-0 lead. And then I think, they said they are overrated on defense. Okay, well, that's fine. Everybody says everybody's overrated. So, yeah, so it's, it really is that type of game script. A&M has been one of those teams that if they can get out to an early double-digit lead, they can really start teeing off on you. And I mean, you see that throughout the NFL. You see that with most teams in college football that are college football playoff contenders. And I would say the same for Texas. If Texas just finds the end zone early, and then that defense plays very aggressive and maybe gets Marcel Reed into a bad headspace where he's kind of backing up and they're getting pressure and he's like turning around and running around, and then he throws an errant pass and maybe Grayson Littleton picks it off, and they basically get behind early. I know A&M can come back from that, but playing in DKR in front of a fan base that I think is really going to show up for that game. I know it's been a disappointing season or whatever, but this is a rivalry game. Both these teams hate each other with a passion. I mean, it's going to be hard to even predict this game because, I think Nick Saban said it perfectly when playing at Auburn. He said just weird stuff happens there. A&M has not played in DKR since 2010. I was 15 years old at that time. I remember watching that game. My dad. Old. Yeah, man. But it's a different cultural world right now, and so. But I think Texas's leaders on defense. As if Anthony Hill plays, did you guys hear anything about that?
We think he's going to plplay. That was announced after the game that there was a really big chance he's going to play in this game. I expect him to play.
Yeah, and I think he will too. I think the broken bone, I think he can play around that. So, look, this is a big game for him. Former Aggie commit. And I remember I was covering that when he flipped to Texas. There's a lot of bad blood there between both these programs. I did mention a guy like Will Lee. He hates Texas because he got beat a couple times. He had that pick six that didn't really count for anything at the end because A&M just couldn't find the end zone. Obviously, Amari Daniels wants a little revenge for the way he was getting made fun of for about a year. There's a lot of guys on this roster that were a part of that game last season when Texas really did embarrass them in Kyle Field in the return of one of the biggest games in both programs' history for the past almost decade plus. And it's just one of those games where if you play your style and you don't turn the ball over, anybody can win this. It's going to be very difficult. I think A&M is a 2.5-point favorite right now. I was actually shocked by that. I really was because, the difference there. And I do understand people saying that A&M's schedule is not that impressive. They haven't really beaten anybody. They did beat Notre Dame, who just beat Syracuse 70-7 the other day. That's one of the main reasons that A&M is considered a contender because of the early wins. I get that beating LSU and Arkansas and others is not that impressive, but Texas had the same type of win against Arkansas, to be honest with you, even though A&M only won by 3 points. But it is just one of those weird SEC seasons where we can't really dictate who is the elite team. I think Georgia's good, but they have weaknesses too. I think they've been consistent, but I think the way they beat Texas was honestly the way that this game's going to go. Kirby Smart hates Texas. Kirby Smart's always going to pull out all the stops to beat Texas. He loves beating them. It's just a thing. I could easily see Georgia having a bad game soon because he's not playing Texas, not playing somebody they really just wants to beat in the ground. And these coaches are all weird that way. But I think Mike Elko has been preparing for this. He even said today, we've been ready for this game. And I mean, that was kind of funny for all of us who cover this team because, they always say we're not looking ahead. They said they were looking ahead when they were playing South Carolina and they were losing. They probably were because this is a huge game for them, not just because of implications for postseason and for the championship game, but it's bragging rights for the next year. And again, these guys, think about it. I mean, like I said, this game has been played since 2010. This is new to all these guys, all of them. They were little kids when this game was last played, in Austin. So it's going to be a fun one. I'm excited for it. We'll be covering throughout the week. It's going to be interesting to do the comparing stats article I do every week because I get to do a deep dive into Texas because they're, they really kind of, they are their record. I think Bill Parcells said that you are what your record says you are. And so they're a very good team. They have had moments of weakness and they haven't shown up in areas they should have. But, it's going to be fun, man. And I'm glad I could be here. I don't know if I was great tonight. I'm a little tired. I have, a lot going on, but yeah, it was fun to catch up and fun to preview this big matchup.
Before we get you out of here, though.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Jerome. Go ahead.
The line you got to use when people bring up the strength of schedule thing is what I did last year. Is Texas's strength of schedule suffered because Texas can't play itself? Just drop that one on there, and it helps, right? That's if Texas A&M played itself at strength of schedule, it would be much better, right?
Yeah, and it is funny because I do, I've been asked that, like, well, what if they played Alabama? What if they played Oklahoma? I'm like, well, I don't know. So what am I supposed to say? That do they forfeit games in front of them because that's who they have to play? It's a really stupid discussion. They have a very tough schedule going into next season. So, but here's the thing I always say: like, if some of these teams that are predicted to be good next season and they end up being crappy and A&M plays them and beats them, it's the same thing over and over and over. And I will say this: Texas, in terms of the CFP, I was asked the other day. In terms of them getting the CFP, do they deserve it if they beat A&M? I think they're in the discussion. They did beat Vanderbilt. They did play Ohio State, the toughest anybody has this season, in an opening game that's really weird. And Arch just wasn't himself yet. Look, I get that A&M, because they showed up from start to finish, that's why they are going to the CFP. That's why they have a chance to go to the SEC championship game. But, I think Texas would have been in years past if it wasn't for other SEC teams with double-digit wins. Obviously, Vanderbilt has a chance to, I think, get to 10 wins this weekend. It's just, it is what it is. But I will say this: if Texas wins this game, the future is very, very bright, especially if Arch Manning has a very good game in this, and he ends the season with a hot streak and, having personal bests in terms of passing yards and touchdowns. Look, that's going to do a lot for his confidence. If they fix their offensive line next season, they're going to be a force. I just wouldn't rank them number one because I think that's a curse for that program. So I just wouldn't do that. I'd rank them like number 5, and I think Texas will probably win a championship. So that's just me. But yeah, it's crazy though. It's a weird time, right? I've been saying that for the last month. Every time A&M's keeps breaking these barriers down, winning in LSU, winning in November, winning all these games. This is the last one they need to accomplish to go 12-0 and really, solidify what has been a historic season. So
I know you said it was hard, but we got to get your prediction for the game. We got to get, cement it in. Okay. What do you think the score is going to be?
Yeah, I'll be doing this tomorrow on our show. And yeah, I'll probably change it. It's been difficult. Like I said, we're waiting for the injury report tomorrow to see if Moss actually plays. But I don't expect him to. I think A&M is going to be ready for this one. I think that their defense specifically is going to wake up for this game. I think that they've been preparing. And I think that's one of the reasons we saw during the Sanford game. They were up, I think, 28-0 with maybe 2 to 3 minutes left in the first half. Elko removed every starter, every single guy. He put every single – there were guys in there. Preston Landis is a transfer running back I'd never seen in my life. Like, everybody on that roster that doesn't have starting to rotational snaps in big games was not playing. So he knew we need everybody 100% healthy. We need our key guys to just lock into this game completely starting on Monday. Sorry about that, guys.
You're good.
Long day. But yeah, I do trust them, and I trust this defense. I trust this pass rush specifically from what I've watched from Texas this season. They did a better job against Arkansas. Arkansas's defense is not good, so I'm not going to say like that's really a benchmark of improvement. They did a better job with some of their blocking and focusing on some of Arkansas's better pass rushers. I don't know what they're going to do there. If you double team Cassius Howell, you're going to have to deal with Albert Regis. You're going to have to deal with DJ Hicks, and you're going to have to deal with Tyler Odietum, who is having a great season as one of their rotational defensive linemen. He's kind of a freak right now, and probably somebody in the NFL draft is going to steal in day 2. But I'm going to say Marcel is going to have a great game. I think that he's going to lock in. I think that he will have probably a quarter of struggle, maybe in the starting, in the first half. I think this run game is going to get going. I think the O-line is going to block up pretty well. I do worry about if Anthony Hill's back and healthy enough. He could mess with Marcel a little bit. I think it will, but I think Colin Klein will change things up if needed. If they are struggling in an area, he's been shown to be very versatile in that aspect. So I'm going to make it close, but I think A&M is going to win the game. Probably, let's say 28-24. That's what I'll say. But I could easily change it. At the end of the week, I could easily flip that with Texas. I just don't know right now, but I'm just confident in the way A&M has played, especially, and I'm really saying this because of the way they came back against South Carolina. I think that showed immense toughness and focus and culture and everything that Mike Elko's been building. One of the reasons he got this extension. I think this team is just built different completely, and they're a completely different unit than they were last year. I didn't give A&M a chance against Texas last season. I just didn't think it was going to be that weird of a game. I just think this is a completely different unit, even though this is a rivalry and just weird things happen. But I think both teams are gonna show up, and I think this is going to be a 4-quarter game. I do not think anybody's going to run away with this thing. I think this is going to come down to the final 2 possessions. So.
No, I think that's fair, and we really appreciate you joining us. Again, plug your stuff, let them know where they can find you, and thanks again for your time.
Yeah, that comment though, that was hilarious. Sanford is a dental school. He's going off. Good for you, man. I love when these guys comment. That's fun stuff. But at Aggies Wire, we're doing, I mean, as people know with College Wires, we do content pretty much every sport, every minute of the day almost. We're doing, I think we produce at least 10 to 13 articles a day. We're doing a lot of content this week. We're going to start doing our previews. We are going to release our predictions by Thursday, with the game being on Friday. But yeah, Voice College Football, Texas A&M Aggies Live. We do have a surprise guest tomorrow. I'm not going to say yet, but one of the more popular Texas media guys. We got that set up. Me and Cannon Torres, my co-host, he's dealing with like a sinus infection right now, so poor guy's probably going to be pretty nasally during that broadcast, but we'll be doing that probably a little earlier tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure yet, but we'll find out. So yeah,
thanks again for having again for coming and joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I'm glad I could do this now because this week is just hectic, so I'm glad we could work that out, because I was trying to fit that in, but yeah, it was perfect. So appreciate it, guys.
Awesome. Thanks again.
See you.
Yep. Have a good night, man.
We really appreciate Cam joining us tonight, and